Happy High Holy Month, don't you know? Today is day 3 of 17 in which I'm making videos related to Ireland, Irish culture, in honor and in celebration of St. Patrick's Day and my mom, who is of Irish heritage. Today we are in the kitchen and we're going to make something that is my family's favorite, Irish soda bread. So here we are, we're set up to bake the Irish soda bread. It's a recipe my sister-in-law, who's a wonderful pastry chef, gave our family. It's got a lot of the normal ingredients: flour, eggs, baking soda, baking powder, raisins. It's got a few different ingredients, which are kind of her trademark, so I'm not going to tell too many because I don't want to give away her secrets. But I'm going to set the camera down. And this is not a professional kitchen, nor is this a professional setup. So you're going to have to bear with me, and I'll do my best. So you're not going to see me, but you're going to see my hands, and you're going to see the ingredients for the soda bread. So the first thing to do is to mix the dry ingredients. And so there's bread flour, it goes in the big bowl. And I had it all measured out to try to manage it okay. There's baking soda, baking powder, salt, no, sugar, that was sugar. Wow, that would have been a lot of salt. Sugar, and then some salt. And you are supposed to mix all the dry ingredients together. I have to get the butter, which I have in the freezer. I got Irish butter, very high in fat and content, and then cut it into little cubes like this. And so you add the butter into the dry, a little bit like a pie crust in the way that we have to mix it in and then cut it into the flour. So I'm going to put all this in. It's 7 ounces of butter. It's a lovely, lovely recipe. Butter cuts into little pieces. It gets mixed in with the butter and it's like pea size. Now I have cut the butter into the flour, baking powder, baking soda, and salt and sugar mixture. And I don't know if you can see it really clearly, but this flour now has a beautiful buttery yellow tone to it. Oh. This bread is so good, I can't even begin to tell you. So now I'm going to set this back down. And the next step, it's a lot like any recipe for a bread or a cake. You take the dry ingredients, mix them together, and then you mix the wet ingredients in another bowl, and then mix them together, and then we're going to put it on a board and knead it. And here we are. I have combined the bread dough, the flour, and the dry ingredients with the egg and milk and wet ingredients, and this is what I have. The important thing about this stage is to not mix the dough too much. As you can see, there's no white flour showing. Everything is mixed well, but as soon as I got to that point, I stopped because you don't want to make the dough tough. I've dusted it with flour. I'm going to dust my hands with some flour because this bread dough now is very sticky. And what I have to do now is to knead it until it gets to a nice forming stage. And like I said, it's very sticky, so I do have a little extra bit of flour over here that I can add in as I go. Again, I don't want to add too much. You don't want the bread to get floury. You want it to be rich and moist and delicious. So I am going to knead this until I don't need it anymore. And I have kneaded the bread as much as I need to. Yuck, yuck. And now they want you to form it into what they call boulets, 2 boulets. Basically, it's a fancy word for balls. No comments necessary. So anyway, I'm breaking it into 2 boulets. You can see the elasticity in it now as opposed to before. And then I'm going to let it sit for, I don't know, about 10 minutes to let the gluten really bind. I've preheated the oven to 400 degrees. And I'm going to bake it there at that temperature for about 15 minutes. And then when I'm done at 15 minutes, I'm going to drop the oven temperature down to 350, and I'm going to put a very light egg wash on each one of these to make sure that it turns golden brown. It is egg wash time. You can see the bread, let me pick it up this way so you can see, the bread is turning golden brown already, but this egg wash will help that golden to be spread more evenly. Egg wash is basically just egg and water. It can be different thicknesses depending on how much water or how little water you use. I tend to make it a little thinner so that the bread does not get too brown. And just like it suggests, you just wash the bread with it. So we'll finish the egg wash. We're now turning the oven down to 350 degrees, and we bake it for about 20 minutes. Here we are. Have you ever seen anything that looked more delicious than that beautiful loaf of Irish soda bread? I have it set up in my dining room, and I've set myself up for tea and bread, and I've added some blood orange marmalade, which was my mother's favorite jam to use with Irish soda bread, and some rich Irish butter. So I'm going to cut the first slice out of this beautiful loaf. Oh, it's still warm. Oh, the steam is just rising up out of it. I probably should let it sit. It would probably cut better if I let it sit, but I wanted you to see what it looked like when it was still warm. And I'm going to take some of this beautiful Irish butter and spread a little bit on the bread as well. And some blood orange marmalade, which is a little different, a little different flavor, but still that kind of nice tart orange marmalade flavor. Like I said, it was my mother's favorite. And so, take a bite. Whoa, I wish you were here. I wish you could smell this. Perfection. Whatever your traditions are for St. Patrick's Day, whether they be food or music or spending time with family and friends, I hope that you enjoy the traditions that you've learned and maybe pick up some new ones this year and fully join in the spirit of the High Holy Month. Sláinte.